Conversation of the day, where we are looking at growing the economy and what needs to be done to the younger generation and also to just build a country. And joining us is Moses Obenzo. Thank you so much for joining us, who is CEO at Zaibenzo Limited, and he's also an economic and legal advisor. All right, now let's get right into it and look at Kenya's economic market, and first of all, even where the economy is right now. When you are trying to look at where Kenya's economic state is currently, from where you sit, what can you give us?
Thank you so much for having me this evening. First, I will start with the current budget we have for 2023-2024 budget of the approved budget by the Parliament of 3.7 trillion.
Yes.
And it's expected that the revenue which will be collected will be around 3 trillion. So we have a deficit, clearly we have a deficit of 700 billion. And whatever is on the ground to make sure that we cover up is around 600 billion. So you can tell on what we have is a deficit of 100 billion, which we need to get it as a country. We need to get it within a year so that we can be able to do infrastructural projects and other government expenditure. So clearly is an economic crisis which we need an expert. The government needs experts. They need to up their game in terms of how best to involve even, if possible, the youths, so they can be able to revive the economy. A very good case law is like the United States around 2007, 2008, when the US had a Wall Street saga, where the economy was almost crashing, an economy of $5 trillion, which actually the best in the world at that point. You know, through the Federal Bureau, the chairman at that time for Federal Bureau was Ben Bernanke. He applied quantitative easing in a point where instead of the citizens themselves feeling the pinch, because there's a deflation where there's no money to run to even afford their basic needs, to pay the mortgages that the Wall Street had brought. But with the advisory of the experts, the president, Barack Obama, by that time injected $800 billion in the economy to ensure that the Federal can be able to zero-rise the interest rates, and so that the commercial banks can be able to to lend to the small microfinance people, and so that the small businesses, they can boost their businesses and even employ the young generation and citizen at that point, so that the economy can be revived. And it worked out. But in contrary, in this country now, we had a situation where the finance bill was brought. Instead of doing quantitative easing, they did quantitative tightening, where they are imposing illegal tax, increasing interest rates, and even those who are called now the hustlers themselves, instead of feeling easy at the point where the new government had came, now they are feeling the pinch of the economy.
All right. Now, let me just take you back a bit. You've spoken about quantitative easing. When we speak about quantitative easing, let us look at it in the case of where we are in Kenya. When we introduce something like that, what can happen? What is expected to happen for us, at least, to be at a level where you can say we are trying to sort of balance what is happening? Quantitative easing.
Yeah, basically, quantitative easing is normally applicable in monetary policies of the government.
Yes. Because
in government you have physical policies, those are long-term infrastructure, education, health, but physical policies, those are issues to deal with short-term policies that can be able to revive the economy through like in Kenya, we have the central bank, which controls how the commercial banks operate. Now, with the interest rate, for example, a good example is when the time of President Uhuru Kenyatta, where the parliament passed a bill that the commercial bank could not lend above the 4% what the lending rates provided by the CBK.
Yes.
What happened? the only it could, yes, it was a well thought idea, but now the commercial bank now decided to sabotage the government by not borrowing to wananchi directly, but by even doing borrowing to the government through the debentures, corporate bonds,
yes,
and such like.
All right, and now let's look at the challenges of facing Kenya's economy. First of all, we are looking at things like poverty, inequality, youth unemployment. And let me pause. When we come to youth unemployment, you've spoken about empowering the youth. And when you look at the younger generation, especially when it comes to giving them opportunities, giving them ways in which they can move forward in order for at least the economy to grow, because the younger generation, I mean, there's a lot of zeal and there's a lot of energy there in order for this to at least sort of add to the economy. Unemployment among the youth, where we are currently, where are we in terms of, is the gap still the way it is? Because there are very many number of young people who are not employed. So are we first of all even addressing the youth unemployment issue?
Yes, the government has gone a mileage in terms of addressing the issues of youth unemployment. For example, we have statutory regulations like Copyright Acts, which protects the music industry so that they can be able to earn good living. We have the AGPO, access to government opportunities, it's enshrined in the Constitution of 2010 of Kenya. For example, Article 55 of the Constitution and Article 227 of the Constitution, which recognizes that the youth should be adequately and effectively provided the opportunity to even access the government tenders. But I want to challenge the Constitutional Administration of Justice, what is called Ombudsman, because its work is to control the parastatal malpractices happening in parastatals. Today, I am very sure in this in parastatals, AGPO says 30% of the tender should be given to the youths, but I am very sure it does not even meet the 10%. So already that one, I want to challenge the ombudsman. Let them go. Let them do their research and even hand over the investigation report to the parliament, so that the youths can be able to have opportunity to do the government tenders. And because one of the challenges of youths doing the tenders, it's inadequate funds. We have currently the Ministry of Corporate, MSCE, headed by the Permanent Secretary, Honorable Susan Mangini. Let it be devolved to the ground in such a way youths can be able to walk in, borrow loans, build their businesses, so that they can be able to empower themselves and help in driving the economy. Because according to a great scholar called Martha Nussbaum, economical development is not about just putting food on the table. It's about the human integrity. It's about the well-being. It's about the achievements made and freedoms of these youths to interact, to explore economic world. Like, for example, we had the TikTok issue being banned. Now, you see, TikTok is one complex digital social earning where the youths have already intruded in that sector and actually earning a living out of it. So it's very wrong. It's like now throwing the baby with the bathwater, which is not good. Let's have a control in a way that the content being given out by the TikTok, it's not immoral in nature, but at least the youths can be able to utilize the TikTok and get earning out of it.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And now let's look at also the vulnerability of an economy like Kenya to external and internal shocks. And how do we make ourselves secure to shocks that are coming internally and also externally, because the vulnerability seems to be the one that is really affecting how we are moving forward in terms of trying to even maybe come out of a crunch that we are in.
First of all, Kenya is a global south economy. We are competing against the sharks in the industry, the likes of the US,
yes,
UK, such nations. So we must be able to tread carefully when you're dealing with them. But again, we should not be indolent but vigilant. Because equity does not favor the indolent but favor the vigilant.
Yes.
One of the ways as a nation to be able to transact business well with the outside world is, for example, in East Africa you can introduce common currency, so that we can be able to transact favorably, that our citizens can be able to cross borders, to do business favorably, so that we can be able to form our own small economy and compete with ourselves, instead of going to the sharks, where when you go to IMF to get some borrowing, our interest rates are always made higher compared to them lending, the US or UK lending from IMF or World Bank. So as a country, as a nation, as Africa, we must be able to have enough infrastructure within ourselves, including even the roads, railway, like now the railway we have now from Mombasa to Nairobi. Let it go to even Congo, so that we can be able, those minerals in Congo can be able to come to Kenya. The Kenyans themselves can be able to go to Congo and do business favorably among themselves.
All right, thank you so much, Moses, for your insights. We've come to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much for contributing and giving us your insights. All right, we're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to tackle another issue. We're going to look at the real estate sector and also agents in real estate sector. And I'm going to be joined by Eunice Masharia, who is chairperson EARB, and also Jesse Kihoro, who is a board member for EARB. So don't go too far. Let us just look at this issue when we come back.